What's up, you beautiful collectors and action figure fans? It's the one and only Optibotimus coming at you with another video review. And on today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the new Hot Toys MMS 534 of the 1/6 scale Nebula from Avengers Endgame. Which, I'll be totally honest, I feel marketing it as an Endgame figure is a bit of a stretch, and I'll get to that here in a bit. For the package, though, we have an absolutely gorgeous image of Nebula right there on the front. I think it's Karen Gillan, but it could be the figure also. It looks good regardless. And then you can see throughout the entire thing, it's got like this kind of blue space dust throughout it, which does look really very nice. You can see you got the Avengers Endgame logo. You got the large Avengers A right there. The side here has got Nebula. You got that dust carrying over. You got the Ravager logo right there at the top. The Avengers A down there. Same basic thing on this side. Come around to the back of the package and you got warnings and contact information for Hot Toys. And then it is a shoebox style package. So you just slide this up like so, and on the inside here, the back section has that Avengers A logo, which kind of takes the cues from there where it kind of looks like there's dust and everything. Kind of has that as well. I mean, we know with Infinity War, when the snap happened, they were dusted, and it's like with Endgame, it's coming back and forming that image, I guess. You come around here to the front, you got the Ravager logo right down there. I'm starting to wonder if I shouldn't have used the blue background. But when you do spin it around, you got the open window that fully showcases the figure as well as all of her accessories. But for the packaging on her, that's about it. So without further ado, let's get her out here and see how cool she actually is. Alright guys, so here we have Nebula opened up and out of her packaging. And as always, she does come with the instruction sheet. Not a ton going on with this one. Basically shows you how to holster her baton, her gun, even the holster itself, how to attach the little lightning effects, and then what hands can be used to hold the different weapons. So not a ton in terms of details, but always go through them. And when I say there's not a ton, I mean that doesn't just apply to the instructions. She doesn't really come with a lot. And I don't really know a ton of other things that she could come with. There's a couple that I would think of, but I'll get to that here in a bit. But in addition to two-fisted hands, as you can see, she comes with a few extra ones. Now, obviously, her left arm is all mechanical. So you get a right hand, which is done up in her, I don't want to say human, but humanoid form, I suppose. You can see really gorgeous paint detail on there. You can see the gloves and everything nicely sculpted, nicely painted as well. The underside here looks all really very nice. Even her fingernails are painted, which is really nice. And then her left arm, left hand, I should say, is all mechanical. Amazing detail on there. I want to try to come in as much as I can. Gorgeous detail. You can see a lot of wires and intricate details with the kind of robotic section. You come to the other side, again, absolute gorgeous detail on there. The paint applications are also really very, very nice. I even like how they got like that little texture with the little bumps and everything. I mean, that is really very, very cool. So she does come with a total of 3 of these and a total of 4 of regular hands. So you get the relaxed ones, then you get a pair that are designed to, well, no, this one actually, a pair of hands that are designed in a way to hold her batons, which is nice. And then I was like, I wonder why they didn't give another trigger finger hand, because you get a trigger finger hand for her right hand. Well, that makes sense, because her holster goes on that side. She wouldn't pull this hand over to pull the gun out. So it makes sense to not give her a trigger finger hand for her mechanical arm. So, I mean, at first I was like, oh my God, that's a little bit weird. But then as I thought about it, it's not that big of a deal. With that, you also do get a pair of extra wrist pegs. One is a normal one. One is a silver one designed for, obviously, the mechanical arm. So you have those. You do get her holster. This is nice, though. It's a harder material. It's a little bit pliable, but it's a little bit harder. And then you got some hooks right here. All you need to do is come around here, and you got some little rings right there. Now, this is a little bit tricky to do, but, like, hold that there, and then you try to feed that in, and then that's going to be a pain in the butt. Okay, that was a pain in the butt, and I still didn't even get it all the way in there. The biggest problem is they're super tiny, these little loops here, and you gotta take this, and it's pliable, so you can kind of move it up, but it's so incredibly difficult to feed that through. Do I have it? No, but I mean, at least it holds on with one. I'll probably fight with that a little bit more after the video to get that done. But that little holster is where this guy goes, and this is really nice. Like the paint detail, everything on here, absolutely gorgeous. Really nice silver paint. You got a nice almost ivory color right there at the top, some nice gold accents. You can even kind of see like superheated metal sort of looking rainbow pattern throughout the whole thing. Really very, very nice. I love the way that looks. That is just a wicked cool accessory. Hopefully that's staying focused. I mean, I'm really impressed with how that looks. Really, really nice. And then again, holster, you just slide that right in there. I don't want to go down too far because I don't want to put any pressure on that. But you can see it holsters very nicely. So you have a sort of display option there if you're so inclined. I don't know why they didn't just permanently attach that. That kind of sucks. So I'll have to fiddle with that here in a bit. And then she also does come with some batons. Now this is one baton, but as you can see, it is a collapsed version. But again, great detail sculpted throughout the entire thing. Paint is absolutely spectacular on there as well. It's not metal, but it really does look like it. And then you get two extended versions. I don't know why they only gave you one collapsed one, but then two extended ones. That's kind of weird, if you ask me. For storage here, you can take this, and this just fits right through these two little loops. No, I don't like the way that feels. Ooh. I feel like that's gonna be problematic. That's a little bit too tight, and yeah, I feel like I've gone past the point of no return now, but I'm not going to leave that in there. When you're pushing it, I feel like that's going to detach that there, so I'm spinning it to try to get it to easily come out. That just makes me nervous. Let me try that side. That's a little bit easier. So maybe I was putting it in just the wrong way. Maybe try putting it in the bottom section first. So yeah, that's a little bit, I wonder if they're slightly different sizes. Goes in fairly easily like that. So you do have that right there. But again, like I said, I don't know why you only get one collapsed one. Oh, stay right there. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But then you get two extended ones, and then you get two little lightning effects, which you're not going to be able to see because these are blue and the background's blue. But there, I distinctly remember her when she first met up with Thanos using these to kind of punch him in the head. Or, well, hit him in the head with them. You can just wrap them around there, which, I mean, they're fairly pliable. So you can kind of just maneuver these around and get those in there a little bit. Just wrap everything kind of around there. So you got little lightning effects on there. That's cool. I like it. She's good at hand-to-hand combat. She's also good at using a blaster, so good job. And then she does come with her display base, which this is okay. You can see that primarily you got the Ravager logo, and then when the Avengers A overlaps it, it slightly changes the color of it. That's nice. I do dig that. You got the Nebula with no metal plate on there. It is what it is. You got the Avengers Endgame logo right down there. Again, I'll get to that here in a bit, but for her accessories, that's about it. It's like I said, not a lot, but I don't really know what else you could give her other than maybe a couple interchangeable hand bits. She did like morph her hand in a couple different scenes, so they could have given us something like that. The other thing, well, I guess I can get into it now, is that this is marketed as an Endgame figure. And it's not that she didn't look like this in Endgame. She just very briefly looked like this in Endgame. This is primarily her look at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which basically then leads into almost immediately into Infinity War. This is how she predominantly looked in Infinity War. In Endgame, she only looked like this in the first few minutes while she was on that ship. Is that the Milano? It might have been the Milano. But on that ship alone with Tony Stark. After that all happened, she goes back to Earth, obviously. And then over the course of the next 5 years, because we know that there's a 5-year gap between that beginning and then when the rest of the movie takes place, she changes her look. She's not wearing this outfit anymore. She's wearing basically short sleeves on both arms. And one of the things that is different is this piece up here. Is it this? I don't remember. Oh yeah, it's. I think it's this piece, like the blue part right there. That's actually orangish red. I don't know why she went with that color. Maybe just, like the Ravager color or something like that. But the rest of the movie, she has that reddish piece right there. So I don't know, like I said, what they could have done. And there is that scene where the Nebula from the past confronts the Nebula from the future. She pops that piece off and they swap it to kind of trick everybody else. So you could have given her some extra hands, and they could have given that swappable piece. I mean, you could have made it like a little magnet or something that lets you pop that piece off and then put the new one on. Why they didn't, I don't know. I want to say that when I first saw the pre-orders for this, that was there. I could be completely crazy, but like I said, though, I don't mind having this because it's cool to get a Nebula. And we may get another Nebula with the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, maybe even the next Thor movie. So, I'm reserving judgment on things. But to say this is an Endgame figure when she literally looked like this at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, almost all the time that we saw her in Infinity War, and then only like the first 5 minutes of Endgame just seems weird. Either way, it's still great to have her, but I wish that she could have come with some of those other accessories to kind of round things out and just kind of expand on what we're already being given. Now, coming in to take a closer look, absolutely wonderful portrait. Even though you can't replace that piece right there, this is an absolutely wonderful representation of Karen Gillan as Nebula. This just looks wonderful all the time. I mean, you can even see like some nice texture throughout the head, giving it a kind of modified sort of look to the skull. The detail here with the mechanical or cybernetic sections right here, all really well done. Paint applications are terrific. I mean, everything. I mean, that is a wonderful, wonderful likeness. I'm just blown away by that. Taking a look at the suit. As I said, this is the suit that she wore at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and Infinity War. So it's accurate in that regard. It's not entirely accurate to the whole Endgame movie, which is why I say that it's loosely based off of Endgame. But great detail. One thing that's really nice is they got her vest section here, which comes around. You can see it's almost like it's a separate piece. But what's really nice is because of it, especially on this side, the suit isn't restricted at all. We'll cover that more when we get to the articulation, but I really like that. You got the nice little bits right up here. You see the Ravager logo right on the side. Gorgeous detail with her mechanical arm. That looks absolutely fantastic. Love the way that turned out. The back looks good. Everything on here really is sharp. I don't like that. The belt looks really nice. One thing that's really cool is like all these little straps and everything are kind of a softer rubbery material. So it's not very loose. It's very tight to the body, which I think looks really good and, again, is very accurate. Got knee pads and then great detail with the boots. Unfortunately, they are all one piece, so it does limit the articulation. But, again, we'll cover that here in a bit. Overall, though, really quite nice and absolutely blows me away with the overall likeness of the actress. I mean, super accurate looking. Now, doing some comparisons, let me swivel down here a little bit. Here she is now. Most everybody's going to want to see this. So, of course, here she is with her sister, Gamora. And now some reviewers have complained about the height of this. And if I'm having a hard time getting her just to stand, that's kind of annoying. Now, honestly, her height doesn't bother me. Maybe it's just the roundness of the table. Because she is taller than you, as you can see. Let me see if I can get her standing up as straight as possible here. Her boots are a little bit funky, so it kind of goes off on an angle. But you can kind of see that Gamora is definitely shorter than Nebula. And that's not all that inaccurate. Because in real life, the actors that play these two characters have a very similar height difference. So, for me, that scale works pretty good, I think. Real life, it's not nearly as noticeable, but when you shrink it down, you're going to notice the differences probably a little bit more. And just because she seemed to be buddies with Rhodey in the movie, here she is with War Machine. And again, size, I think, works pretty darn good. Rhodey or War Machine is fairly large, obviously, but again, the size here, I think, is pretty accurate when you compare the two. Now, for her articulation, the head here is on a ball joint. You get a nice range of motion with that. One thing that's interesting is, like, the upper body here is a softer material. One thing that I don't particularly like is you got this blue stripe that goes down the center of her head. It goes down the neck. I wish that the neck could actually rotate. So let's pop that off. I wish this section here could rotate, but unfortunately it's all sculpted the same. The reason why I wish it could rotate is because you got that little strip that goes down there, and if you're going to turn her head, now that strip's not centered to the body. So I wish that neck section was a separate piece so you could rotate that around to keep that illusion. It's not terrible or anything, but it is a little bit annoying. For her cybernetic arm, you have a bit of a ball joint here, so you get a little bit of kind of butterflying. You can go out about there. What was that noise? I did not like that sound. But, I mean, get a pretty good range of motion there. Rotates all the way around. She only has one bend at the elbow, which isn't bad. But you can see that you get a little bit less than 90 degrees because of the sculpt of the arm. If they put a double joint in there, they probably could have gotten away with that, but it probably would have made it look a lot worse. So I'm okay with it like this. I mean, great detail. Look at all that wire detail. I mean, super awesome. And then it also does rotate at the elbow. There's no rotation up here, which is fairly normal. You got the hinge and the rotation at the wrist. This arm, though, is a regular arm, so you have that little butterfly joint up at the shoulders. You do have the rotation at the upper part of the arm. She does have two joints here at the elbow, so you can get a nice over 90-degree bend. But like I said, I also like how the way that this vest is, you can move things around fairly easily. Manipulate it any kind of way that you really want, and this kind of flexes with it. So I do like that added little kind of attention to detail. I do appreciate that. The rotation forward and back. She does have an ab crunch. You can actually crunch her down fairly decently. Again, the suit doesn't really do too much. It almost feels like Deadpool's material. So it has a very faux leather look to it, but it's not. I would imagine, though, that leaving it in a crunch pose like that would probably crease things. You can kind of see it happening a little bit there. It's not as bad as Spider-Man's suits, but I would still be careful not to really leave a dramatic pose for too terribly long. The hips move about that far forward, but again, you can see the wrinkling, and I would imagine that would crease things over time. So again, just be careful when you're doing things. It goes in and out, but only about that far. Rotates at the upper part of the thigh, barely. You got two bends at the knee, and then you come down to the ankles, and this is all, I don't know why they do this still. I mean, you could very easily make this a double sort of thing where you have the shin piece and then the boot, and then be able to flex it. Because as it is right now, you can kind of flex it, but that material is so firm that it just brings it back. So that's definitely unfortunate that there's no way to get our ankle articulation in there. I feel like they could have, but they just stayed, slave to the design. because they wanted to. I have no idea. They don't listen to me. Do they listen to any of us? They really don't. But in general, absolutely terrific. Absolutely terrific. It's taken us a long time to get a Nebula, and it's been and in my opinion, it's been worth the wait, since this is what they gave us. This really did turn out very, very nice. But in general, an absolute wonderful release by Hot Toys. Nebula really has grown to be a fan favorite, and is very much like the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise version of Loki from Thor, where she starts out as a villain and then kind of redeems herself. The performance is really good. You know, the hatred that she has for Thanos because of what he did to her really does come through. And when you see her in Infinity War basically attacking Thanos, trying to find out where Gamora is, really does show the love that she has developed for her sister. Despite the fact that it was kind of her sister's own successes that made Thanos modify her to try to get her to be as good as Gamora. I mean, there's a really good character arc here. And honestly, that's why I think she is such a fan favorite. For the figure, though, Hot Toys has done a fantastic job. I don't like that they label this as an Endgame figure. I think it would have been better if they just stuck with, say, Infinity War, because that's how she primarily looked through that film. But I get that they probably moved on from the Infinity War line and they're now doing Endgame stuff, so it makes sense. But honestly, if you're gonna say that this is an Endgame version, they should have went with the look that she had after that 5-year gap, where she did have that orangish red stripe and then even a completely different outfit. Either way, I'm happy to get her, and it's definitely possible that now that we've already gotten one version, we may get a Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 or even a Thor 4 version of her, which would then coincide with how she kind of looked in Endgame, so who knows, time will tell. Ultimately, though, this is a great piece. She is a little bit light on the accessories, but the price reflects that at about the $240 price. That's fairly standard for a standard Hot Toy figure. You know, one that is just basically bare bones, a few accessories, the figure, all that. But regardless, I do recommend picking her up. If you are a Guardians of the Galaxy fan, if you are a Infinity Saga fan, she's definitely worth having in a collection. So, all that being said, if Nebula here is a piece that you would like to put on your shelf, she's available right now at places like Big Bad Toy Store. So for that, I'll put a link right down in the video description where you can go to BBTS and check out availability on her, as well as the rest of the wide range of Hot Toy figures. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. If you like this video, I would really appreciate it if you would do one simple thing for me, and that's just to hit that thumbs up button. That one very small gesture really does go a long way towards helping me out, and I would really very much appreciate it. Also, got to send a huge shout out to all of my patrons and Optibotimus Plus channel members, who through their continued support, now more than ever, help to make reviews like this possible. And if you'd like information on how you could help support my channel by becoming a patron like these guys have done, feel free to check out my Patreon page at patreon.com/Optibotimus. Or if you want to keep all of your perks and rewards like custom emojis, loyalty badges, exclusive member live streams, Zoom calls, and the occasional giveaway like these guys do, consider becoming a member of Optibotimus Plus. And for that, all you have to do is click on that little join button right down there. And finally, remember that the real trouble with the world is that too many people grow up. Thank you for watching and taking the time to be a kid.